G'day guys, Sam here again, Footy Gods, back for our player review series. So following our first video, giving you an introduction on how we make our decisions on each player, we're going to start off with the number 1 ranked defender from last year, Jack Sinclair. Surprisingly, only in 10% of teams. So that surprises me, given that he was the leading scorer last year in the back line, averaging 113.7. Huge breakout year for Jack Sinclair. Was really impressed with his movement off halfback and ball use and meters gained were huge. So huge breakout year. Now what we'll do, we'll go through and use our formula, which we discussed in our first video, to decide whether or not Jack Sinclair is a good pick. So let's go for it. So we'll go through the scoring first. So we just discussed his scoring a little bit, but scoring pedigree. So does he have the runs on the board? So we mentioned last year, huge breakout year for Sinclair. Went up from averaging around the 80s in the last sort of 5 years to going bang and getting almost 20 points on his average last year. So the pedigree isn't quite there in terms of has he done it for a long time? No, but pretty impressive last year, 113.7. So we'll give him a pass mark on that. I mean, it's not huge pedigree, but it is there. Scoring potential. So same sort of thing. Let's have a look at what he sort of put out last year. So straight away, highest score 150, impressive. If you got a guy that can go 140 plus, 130 plus, that's huge. So let's go through, have a look at his potential here. So let's go 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 scores over 130. So I mean, the potential to go big isn't quite there. I mean, he's got a lot of scores, between 110 to 120. So again, scoring potential, his ceiling isn't massive, but he gets a pass mark there as well. Consistency is a big one. Now, this is the reason why he was the number 1 defender. Have a look through his scores. He's had 1, 2, 3 scores under 100. That is really impressive. Hugely impressive. 85 and 83, round 7 and 8. And then a 79 in round 15, where I believe he got tagged by Ryan Clark, perhaps by Sydney. But look, hugely consistent. So that's the big tick on Jack Sinclair, his consistency. And if you're paying that sort of price, you want that consistency. So ultra impressive. Trends, is he trending upwards? Yes, he is. So had a decent year in 2021, improved on his average by sort of 7 or 8 points, and then went bang last year. So definitely trending in the right direction. Big tick. What is he? He is 27. So right in that perfect age demographic. So big tick there. VC and C option. Yeah, I think he's a decent VC option with his consistency. Maybe more of a captain option if you need a backup. Because like I said, he's not really going to go big. He only had the 5 scores over 130. But a good backup C option. So you can rely on pretty much a 115 to 120 from him. So tick for me there. Okay, job security. Yep, with Primo, these sort of take care of themselves a lot of the time. That's a tick. History of injuries, I don't believe so. I mean, it looks like in 2020 he played the 10 games, so clearly missed with an injury there. I can't think of the top of my head what it was, but let's have a quick look. But I don't think it was anything crazy. Hamstring. Yeah, hamstring issues, so not a huge deal. If he's gotten over it, clearly. If he's last couple of years, he's played every game pretty much, so that's fine. That's a tick. Role. Now, this is the big one with Jack Sinclair, his role. So obviously last year had a great role, basically just doing as he pleased off halfback. So if he can get that again, load up, happy days. But I think there's big question marks here. Question marks. You've got the new coach coming in, Ross Lyon. Who knows what the structure is going to look like down back? Who knows what the game style is going to look like? So that's the big one for me as we go through this list. I think the role question marks on Jack Sinclair is going to be the big one. Yeah, so that leads into the other factors, coaching. So yeah, we don't know. We just don't know. Price, yeah. So his price, he's the most expensive defender. There's a reason for that. You know, he was the leading defender last year. So, but yeah, I don't think there's much value. I don't think he can go above what he scored last year. It was really impressive. And I think with the question marks over his role, I think there's not enough value here at his price to think about. So that's a neg for me. He's obviously a keeper. You know, if you do pick him, he'll be a keeper in your side. Depending on the role, he should be a top 6 defender. The way he played last year was electric. So, you know, potentially a keeper there. Or should I might just say, yes, he's a keeper. Team structure. Does he fit into your defensive structure? It's very expensive price to pay, you know, for one player in your back line. So, there could be question marks there for sure. You know, where does he fit in terms of your team structure? Is it a risk reward type pick? Well, there's not many players, not many coaches have picked him. I think he's sub 10% at the moment. Let's just have a quick look. So 10%. Yeah. So there is a bit of risk attached to this pick with his price and ownership. So there's definite risk there. Obviously, the reward is, you know, potential number 1 defender as a pod. So yeah, huge risk reward there. Something to think about. Fixture. Let's have a look at his fixture for the first few weeks. He's got Freo at home. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 out of his 8 games are at Marvel. So that's really nice. He went really well at Marvel last year, when it went pretty well everywhere, to be honest. But oh yeah, Adelaide Oval, he's got the gather round. So that's another good tick in his arsenal. He's not playing Collingwood in front of the big Collingwood crowd. So pretty good start to the season here. Freo, Bulldogs, Essendon, Gold Coast, Collingwood, Carlton, Port and North. I mean, that's pretty good start to the year. All of those teams, you know, not massively strong. Collingwood, decently strong. Bulldogs should be okay. And then Adelaide as well. So that's like a dream start to the year. His first 10 or 11 games are really good. Wow. That's a really good draw. Geez, that's huge. So big tick there. He's got a great fixture. Taggers, yeah, we mentioned Sydney. Yeah, I don't think he's got much to worry about there. I don't think any of these teams will really try and negate a halfback flanker. So tick, all good. But yeah, that's a big tick. I didn't realise his fixture was so juicy. Crazy. All right. We've talked about the ownership. So pretty low owned. 10% of team. So really nice pot option. Do you like the Saints? Do you like watching a Ross Lyon team? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't, then maybe you don't pick him. And again, as always, go on your gut feel. If you feel like Sinclair can back up what he did last year, even average 100, 110 to 108, that'll still put him right in the mix for top 2 or 3 defenders. So I think the big one is the role. We want to see in the practice games in the next few weeks what that looks like, how Ross Lyon decides to use him, because we know Hunter Clark's coming back from a couple injury niggles. Nick Caulfield will be back there. Patton will be back there more often. So who knows what Ross wants to do there. So big question marks on his role. A big tick on the fixture though. So there's upside to this pick, but for me, purely because of the role issues, I think I'm going to stay away at that price. There's just too many risks in terms of his price plus his ownership. You know, he's low owned. That could really come back to bite you in the ass if you try and pick him as a pod and he's playing more of an accountable role down back and he's, you know, averages 90. It's not going to be great. You're going to lose a lot of money and a lot of points to everyone else. So that's my sort of analysis. I think Sinclair, great player, great pick last year, but I think at the start of the season we can just avoid him for now. See how he goes and go from there, because he should drop in price as well. I mean, his break even is going to be 130, 120, 114. So likely to drop a bit of coin for us in the first sort of few rounds, even with his great fixture. So it's a no from me, but I don't blame you for picking him purely on his fixture. He's got the pedigree from last year. He's got the consistency, and the fixture's just juicy. So as a pod, I endorse it, but I don't like the pick for my team. I think it's too risky. So I hope that helped your decision on Jack Sinclair. Let us know what you want to hear next, and we'll go through and get it up. Get it done. Thanks, guys. Cheers.